everybody. Welcome to Real Horror. Tonight we are discussing the 1991 movie Silence of the Lambs. And joining me for this whole Hannibal Lecter universe project, as for the whole thing so far has been Vinny. Vinny, welcome to the panel. How are you tonight?
Good evening. Oh, it's always a blast. Like you said, these are some of my favorites. Yeah, and Silence of the Lambs. This is one of the top ones. These are one of the movies that if you haven't seen it, you don't appreciate cinema.
Yes, I agree. I agree. All right. And also joining us for the movie portion of the Hannibal Lecter universe is Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective. Welcome, Tommy.
Hello, Trina. Greetings, Viniart, and all the wonderful people in the chat. It is so wonderful to be up here and discuss why you people like these types of movies so much. What is wrong in your brain? What tripped in your childhood that make you crave this kind of entertainment? It is very, very disturbing, I must say. This is why you wind up getting the silence of the pigs.
I was told by my FBI handler not to let you get in my head.
Yeah.
So I can't answer that.
With me, it had to do with a farm. I kept hearing this screaming at night, and I went to go take a look, and yeah, there were guinea pigs crying and screaming in that barn. I grabbed one and I ran, and I ran and I ran.
Only one? With guinea pigs, like you can get a whole bucket of them.
A bucket of them, Tommy. Is that how you got all yours?
It is never recommended that you bring home more than two because the weaking never stops and it would keep you up all night and it would eventually drive you insane.
The weaking of the lambs.
The weaking. Oh my God. Yes. All right. And we've got a few people in the chat already. Janet from another planet. Hello. She was here 4 hours ago saying scary good movie, and I agree. Janet, I hope you're well, and thank you for stopping by.
Absolutely.
And Tommy in the chat and on the panel, and Bone, hello, how you doing? I hope you're well.
Hello.
DJ Play Nice, good to see you. Yeah, okay,
I like when everybody plays nice. It's a good thing.
Yes, it is. Things work out better when they do.
Right.
Remember to share the links out there. Let everybody know that we're going so we can bring more people in here to share fava beans and Chianti with.
Tommy's like, put the pig in the fucking basket.
The pig.
The hose again.
Put the pig in the fucking basket, or put the carrots in the fucking basket. Yeah. The list could go on, but
oh yeah, good, and I'm sure it will.
Bone says it puts the guineas in the basket. Uh-oh, we're in trouble, Vinny.
Hey, wait. We don't fit in no fucking basket.
You're gonna need a bigger basket.
Yeah. Are we doing Jaws next? Oh wait, no. Never mind.
That's something we haven't covered. Maybe we will have to at some point.
We're gonna need a bigger basket.
All right, so yeah, so anybody who is, I would be really surprised if anyone is not familiar with this movie, but just in case there may be some younger audience members that aren't, a brief synopsis. So Silence of the Lambs is a movie that came out in 1991, directed by Jonathan Demme, and this is a psychological thriller based on the novel written by Thomas Harris. He has what I think it's 4 books: Red Dragon, Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal, and Hannibal Rising. I think those are the 4 in this universe.
And this one is an Oscar-winning picture. Multiple Oscars they've gotten.
Yeah. So, Vinny, do you want to talk about the awards and stuff that this movie got?
Yeah, it got 7, and it had all of the top Oscars: Best Actor, Best Picture, Best Actress, Best Director. Then you also have Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Film Editing, and Best Sound Mixing. So they got all the top awards for this movie, and it's back again when Oscars meant a little bit more than we know. It's all just BS, and they're pushing for studios now. But back then,
Yeah.
it was actually a little bit more for the talent and the skill that went into bringing these characters to life and telling a story that got everyone on the edge of their seat.
Yeah.
It is fantastic what they did here.
Yeah, definitely. Like, yeah, you're right. Like this won awards back when they had to actually work for the awards.
Yep.
And it wasn't just who who you knew and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Who you blew?
Oh, what's that?
Who you blew?
Oh,
yeah, really, for real.
Well, I'm sure there's still some of that going on, but not, for this movie in particular, like again, these are the top of the top, and every one of them was so well respected, So I don't really see that happen. But I gotta say, for his directing, this is one of the few movies that I've seen where they have these very eerie close-ups on almost all the actors.
Yeah, I was gonna remark about that. Absolutely,
Yeah.
I love the directing in this movie.
It adds so much to this story too. It's something I didn't really. I've seen this movie multiple times, but having it to rewatch it again for this, and again, it's always awesome to see this thing again.
So why don't you tell us the real
really
truth,
point it
Vinny?
out.
You like the close-up of Buffalo Bob. That's really the close-up that you were pining for the entire time that you rewatched this movie.
I don't know who Buffalo Bob is, but no, I'm referring to Hannibal and her and everything. Like, there's an eeriness that just works, especially when they're starting to have the back and forth, these conversations, because he's not on screen for a huge amount of time, but what's there is so captivating. It feels like you're really like sitting there for like, I don't know, 45 minutes, just like being, psychoanalyzed by him. They did such a great job with it.
Yes,
It's Buffalo Bill.
There's only one Buffalo Bill. I'm sorry, this guy is Bob.
Well, yeah. Do you know why they call him Buffalo Bill? All right.
Tommy.
Yeah. So real quick, I want to say hello to Manliness and Motivation. Manliness still wants to talk about the elephants. No, we're only getting the lambs in this movie. Manliness.
Yeah.
Best I can do is lambs.
Yeah, it's not Silence of the Elephants. Come on.
Well,
Come on.
we would be absolutely remiss if we don't talk about one of the key factors about this movie that has tie-ins with a lot of other movies, and that was the use of a certain particular person in real life that committed heinous acts, much like Hannibal and, of course, Buffalo over there.
Yep.
And that would be Ed Gein.
Ed Gein.
Ed Gein, yep.
Ed Gein was also the basis for Psycho and for Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
For a second, I was going to say, I didn't see Harvey Weinstein's name on this. But, Ed. Yep, we know Ed.
Yeah. So, yeah, and they get into why they call this the serial killer in this movie, the one besides Hannibal Lecter, the reason why they call him Buffalo Bill. Yeah, they get into that. But it's mentioned that it's because the way he skins his victims. And if you don't know the history behind the person that was called Buffalo Bill, I recommend looking it up. It's kind of a little bit of a stain on American history.
Yeah, he's one of many very sick individuals. But he's one of the first that they caught that was so prolific in their horrifying acts. We'll put it at that, because it wasn't just like a regular serial killer. The shit that he did was very, very disturbing.
Manliest and Motivation coming in with Ed Gein had skin in the game.
Basically.
Yes.
Yep. You mean lampshades and
Yes, that's DJ Play Nice. That's exactly when Hannibal when Clarice goes to see Hannibal, he asks her, "Do you know why they call him Buffalo Bill?" And she says, "Well, yeah, it started as a bad joke by the local PD, and it was because he liked to skin his humps." So that's exactly right.
Yep.
And Yeah, Bone. Why would they name a football team after a serial killer? Yeah. Oh my God. I never even thought of that. That's a good point. Okay, so for anyone watching who is not familiar with the synopsis of the movie, this movie is about a woman, Clarice Starling. She's an FBI trainee. She's just about ready to graduate and be an actual agent. She's tasked by the head of the behavioral science unit at the FBI, Jack Crawford, with interviewing Hannibal Lecter, who is an incarcerated. He's serving like I think it's 9 life sentences
Mm-hmm.
for his crimes of being a serial killer, and one of his acts as serial killer was cannibalism. Just adds a little bit of a cherry on top to his crimes.
Yeah.
But she's to gain insight into catching this current killer at large, who they have termed Buffalo Bill. And like we just discussed, Buffalo Bill's method is that he abducts overweight women and he takes their skins. So that's the purpose of why Jack Crawford sends her to go see Hannibal Lecter.
Yep.
It's a little bit underhanded at first, because what he says at first was that she is just going there to compile a psych profile, but what his real motivation was to get insight into Buffalo Bill. He knew that Hannibal would want to talk about Buffalo Bill, but he didn't want Clarice to know, because then that would, if she knew, then Hannibal would know, and
He would see right through her,
Yes.
and then and dismiss her, and because he's got away with all of them.
Yep.
He'd psychoanalyze her in a heartbeat, and then she'd be running out of their crime, basically.
Yep.
But again, what I do like how they did this, because this is the direct sequel to Red Dragon. The very last scene that we saw in the previous movie last week was that Chilton tells Hannibal that someone's here to see him, and it's this young lady. So it's because he only ever helped Will Graham.
Yeah.
He hasn't done this with anyone else. Everyone else he plays games with, or he drives him insane in like a heartbeat. It's really interesting that he decided to do this. And kind of what comes of this is pretty interesting and crazy.
Yeah, very, very much, very much.
Well, I also want to mention before you even say Red Dragon, I don't even think you could mention Red Dragon at this point, because this movie came out before Red Dragon, before they did the remake. So you're talking about something that's actually playing off of what they did at Manhunter, and it does take it up a notch with the Hannibal Lecter character as opposed to Manhunter, since we had so little time with him in that movie. You definitely get a little bit more time with him in this one, and they definitely up this character a lot more than the first one.
The release date has nothing to do with it, because it's literally Red Dragon, Manhunter. They're both the same type of the same thing.
I understand that, but the whole ending with leading into it, that doesn't really happen in the timeline of when this movie is released. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, so
but in the books it does.
Yeah, chronologically, the way the movies came out is a little messed up, because, as we know, in 86, I think it was 86, Manhunter came out, and that was the first movie of any of the Hannibal Lecter universe. Right. And then the next movie was
Manhunter was supposed to be called Red Dragon, and the studio changed it last minute.
Yeah,
so it's
that's right. Yeah, and then this was the second movie, Silence of the Lambs, and then they decided to redo.
No, then I think Hannibal came out, and then they redid the Manhunter. Yeah, just so they can have all 3 movies the proper way. So like the way that we're watching them is the correct way to watch them.
Yeah, so we're watching them in like the
Chronological
universe timeline order.
Right.
As far as movie release, yeah, it's kind of confusing. But yeah, I know, because like when Vinny and I were talking about, okay, what order do you want to do these in? I was like, well, I think we should do them in movie release order. And Vinny was like, no, we can't do that. We've got to do, and yeah, so this is but he's right. Vinny, you were right about that. This is the correct order because it flows.
Yeah. But especially if we're doing the Anthony Hopkins ones, because he was in all three of them. So it's like, yeah, let's just play it out the way it would have. So it's like the same exact day, essentially, that the Will Graham thing just ended. And, Chilton's like, yeah, there's someone here to see you, whatever. And it's Clarice Starling. So,
Yep.
Yeah. So we don't break the flow of the actual story,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, that's why, even though like we're doing these movies in a certain order, you'll see that the release dates of the movies don't seem to make sense, but story-wise they do.
Yeah. You'll notice Clarice looks a little different next week too.
Well, I mean, that's the only reason I'm bringing it up, because hindsight is 2020, so they know that they want this to lead into Silence of the Lambs, and that's why they include Starling at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, because in the novel, that's how it is.
Yeah. Manliness asking when does Dumbo Drop fit in? No.
Dumbo Drop.
Okay, so DJ Plain Eye says Manhunter, wish it was better, and he had read Harris's Red Dragon beforehand. That's a bummer. I don't know how to compare because I didn't read the books.
Yeah.
Well, like I said in the review when we did that, I still like the more simplistic ending to Manhunter, even though it wasn't the novel. I enjoy that more.
I do too. Like I very much love Manhunter. I like the way it ends as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like what's his name's directing in that too. Michael Mann.
Yes, did a great job.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
But, with this one, we start off. We see Clarice like running through like the forest and training. Like she's literally just like she's a new recruit who's getting pulled into this world.
Yep. Yeah, that's how the movie. Yeah, the movie opens up with her doing the obstacle course that they have the trainees do. Yeah. And she's pulled off the course by an instructor telling her that Jack Crawford wants to see her. So she goes directly to his office, and there is when she gets tasked with going to put together a psychological profile on Hannibal Lecter. But the funny thing is, in his office, his bulletin board is covered with all Buffalo Bill stuff. And headline reads, Buffalo Bill skins fifth. So this is the thing that FBI is working on. This is their main focus right now. Yeah. And she even asks, is this tied to Buffalo Bill? And he's like, no, I wish it were though. So he's keeping her out of the loop. Yeah. So she goes to visit him, and he's at the Baltimore Forensic State Hospital. And we see Chilton, and he's hitting on her, and she's just kind of ignoring it. But he does lay out the protocols, like stay away from the glass, and just having her, telling her to be very cautious and all that stuff. And as he's walking her down, he says, I have all these protocols in place because this is what happened the last time he was unrestrained. And he shows her a picture of what Hannibal did to a nurse when he was let out of his restraints to get an EKG done because he was complaining of chest pains. We, as the audience, don't see the picture, but we see her reaction to it.
Yeah. And what he adds to it, that his blood pressure never went like above, what is it?
Like 85 or 80, something low like that.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
crazy. Like,
And yeah, while he was eating her tongue, he says.
yeah.
Yeah, so he's doing a good job painting the picture that this is not,
Hmm.
this is a bad dude.
Yeah, the build-up's great.
Yep. Yep. So she makes it down. She goes through a series of gates and stuff, and I think it looks like it's like on the very bottom, like basement floor of the
Mhm.
building.
Yeah.
And so she gets there. She has to go through like this guard station, and then, she's at his floor, and she's walking past other inmates, and one inmate in particular says something vulgar to her. He says he can smell her. See you
Next Tuesday.
next Tuesday. And then she finally makes it to Hannibal's cell, which is the last one, of course. And
That's they say. Yeah, last one on the left.
last one on the left.
And
Yep.
stay to the right as you're going down there.
Yeah. Yeah. Hug the wall. Oh my God.
The last on the left, that was also a movie, wasn't it?
Yep.
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
Last house on the left, I think it was. Yeah. And
Yeah.
Bone. It very much, it seems like a dungeon, and it actually, that is how it looks. It looks like an updated castle dungeon.
Hmm.
Yeah.
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 And the first thing he says, what was it that Miggs said to you?
Yeah.
She goes, oh, I can smell your. See you next Tuesday. And he
Yeah.
goes, well, I cannot.
Yeah. He's like, I myself cannot. And then he sniffs at he like takes a whiff of the holes like in the glass, and he's able to name the lotion that she uses.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, sometimes you also wear, and he names the perfume, and he's like, but you're not wearing it today. So this is where it shows how good of a sense of smell he has.
Yeah. Which is
yeah.
great, because it's not like he's up against the damn glass. He just lifts his head up and he breathes in deep.
Yeah, and she's sitting in that chair, which is maybe about like 2 feet from the glass, if not at least an arm's length, if not more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a good sense of smell. And she introduces herself, and she sets up a good rapport with him. She's a very polite person in general, and we know that Hannibal appreciates politeness.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, they're in good, and he's receptive to her.
But wait, we almost forgot too. The one who's also with Chilton when they come down there, because I love this character. He's one of my favorites. Barney,
yeah, the guy,
the black guy, the black inmate guy, whatever.
Well, I would also like to add something else to that. So if you're locked up in a confined area like that, where you're getting absolutely no kind of air circulation that you would normally get on the outside, smells are going to be a lot stronger than they normally would be. So it would be a lot easier for him to smell something like that.
Yeah, that is true too.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So okay. So Vinny's favorite character is Barney, the guard at the it's not a prison, the state hospital, mental hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a good dude. He's the
great.
one.
He's in all 3 movies.
Yeah. Yep. He's in this movie. He's in like this monitor room where they've got like the stairwell on camera. They've got Hannibal's cell on camera. Everything is all set up for safety. Yeah. And so he's the one who opens the gate in or out of there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
He's extra helpful towards Clarice as well. Sure.
Yep. He's a good dude.
Yep.
And so yeah, so there she sets up a good rapport with him, and that goes good up until okay, DJ Play Nice, have a good night, and thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it.
Have an awesome one. Yeah, because they're having a good back and forth until she just kind of cuts to the chase, kind of thing.
Yes, and she mentions the questionnaire that she wants him to fill out, and
Mhm.
and it's for her psychological profile on him, which she puts in that little box for him to read. Well, that's where like anything you need to pass to Lecter goes into this box and slides into his cell. So yeah, she does that for him. He picks it up, and he's
It looks like a filing cabinet, but it's like one way kind of thing. Once you put the item in, you close it, then he can get it on the other side. It's just so no one touches, no arms go through the hole or whatever,
Yep.
because he's that
Yep.
dangerous.
Yeah. And as he's reading this questionnaire, you can see that he's annoyed. He doesn't want anything to do with this psychological profile. So he starts to just hurl insults at her and talks about her cheap clothes and is calling her basically white trash.
Yeah, a rube.
A rube. Calls her a rube.
Yeah.
And yeah, so she's like, okay. So she starts to walk away. Well, actually, she says, you have a lot of insight. Why don't you use that brilliant insight of yours and write some things down about yourself? Or, maybe you're too scared to do that. And here he says his iconic line, where he says, a census taker tried to test me once. I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Yeah.
And he does that noise.
And the reason he does it like that too is to throw that hick accent in there. A nice Chianti.
Yeah.
He's doing it to be just a dick, because like he really upsets her. Because he hits all of her buttons.
Yep.
And it's funny what kind of makes him flip from being that disrespectful. And it's when someone's being worse to her.
Like this really sets up how he cannot stand anybody trying to get in his brain.
Mm-hmm.
He hates that questionnaire. He wants nothing to do with it. He will not participate at all.
That's why he's taking these cheap shots at her and trying to demean her. And she gets very upset, and like she's kind of fleeing.
Mm-hmm. Yep, starts leaving, and oh man, so disgusting. But yeah, as she's leaving, so Miggs, the pleasant inmate in the next cell over.
Yeah, the creep who insulted her before, he's now completely naked on his cot.
Yep. And he's
feverishly doing something.
He's taking care of himself, and he says, "I bit my wrists so I could die. You want to see the blood?" And he throws the product of what he's doing at her, which lands in her hair.
And her hair and in her face. Let's just say it's not the Avon cream.
No, it's definitely not that.
Yeah, and as she's horrified and Hannibal just starts yelling.
Yeah, calling
Agent
for
Starling,
her.
Agent Starling, and she comes running over.
Yeah.
And, well, you got the line.
Yeah, he says, that he finds what Miggs did incredibly rude, and he would never have that happen. And then he decides to give her a clue on the Buffalo Bill case and says, "Check into Miss Moffat. Look into yourself."
Yeah, my old patient.
My old patient. Yep.
Yeah.
So she goes back to FBI headquarters, and she's doing research on Hannibal Lecter. And as she's doing that, she gets a call from Jack Crawford, who is calling to inform her that Miggs is dead, and come to find out that after all day of Hannibal whispering to him and Miggs crying, he ended up swallowing his tongue and dying.
Yep.
Yeah.
Justice was served.
Yeah, she's like, "I don't know how to feel about this." And he's like, "Oh, you don't feel anyway. Hannibal engineered this."
Yeah.
Yeah, so she tells Jack that she has figured out the clue that Hannibal gave her, which leads her to a self-storage unit, like somewhere in the Philadelphia area. and it's a unit that hasn't been visited in so long. The door won't even open, so she has to use a card jack.
Yeah.
And she manages to pry it up like a foot or so, and goes under there, and she's looking around, and there's a car in there with a giant flag draped over it. She pries open the door, and
Well, I like that scene too. Was great because like she's almost afraid to go in, but she's still doing it anyway.
Mhm.
And she's on the floor, and she goes, "Here's the number to the local office, the FBI." He goes, "If the door happens to fall on me, or anything else, please call that number."
Yeah,
I thought it was great. 'Cause,
yeah,
when she's in there, it is horrifying. Yeah, she cuts her leg as well on a rusty nail.
yeah.
Sliding in there, and yeah, it looks like a horror show.
Hmm.
That whole place.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Like, yeah, you can tell she has trepidation about being there, and but yeah, she looks in the back seat of that car, and there's a headless mannequin dressed as a woman, and there's like some things next to the mannequin that she's going through. And she's looking around, and then she sees something else covered by a scarf. She takes a scarf off, and we see a head preserved in a jar. And
It's
yeah.
wearing lipstick and rouge and all this. You
Yep.
can see the 5 o'clock shadow on it too.
Yep. It's a male. Yeah, it's a male head with makeup on.
Yep.
Yeah. So she goes and visits Hannibal again, and it's worth noting that when she does, it's pouring out, but she gets in, and
And his cell is completely in the dark.
yeah, his cell, no lights on.
You can't even
but she's
see him. Yeah.
but she's she's sitting on the floor talking to him.
Yep.
Because there's no chair out for her.
Yeah, Barney lets her in.
Mhm.
Because it's one of those things, it's like after hours kind of thing, and like she shouldn't really be there, but
Yeah.
you let her in anyway. And yeah, she's getting, they're having a good conversation about what the hell she had just discovered.
And I like how she's soaking wet, her hair is dripping and everything, and Hannibal puts a towel in the drawer, and
yeah, it just swings open, and she doesn't know what the hell's in there. She peers her head in, and she sees it's a little towel.
yeah, and she's like, "Thank you," and she's drying off and stuff, and he's like, "Oh, your wound has stopped bleeding," and she's like, "How did you?" And she stops, realizes that he has a keen sense of smell.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good scene. I liked that.
Yep.
And yeah, so she's talking to him about the head in the jar and everything, and he tells her that that head belonged to a former patient of his, Benjamin Raspail.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, I didn't kill him, and doesn't know who did, but he's like, yeah, but he's better off because his therapy was going nowhere.
Yeah.
And then suddenly the lights turn on, and he's like, "Oh, thank you, Barney." And she looks around his cell, and she's like, "Where are your drawings?" And he says, "Oh, that's punishment for Biggs." Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And and there's a TV that's beside them the whole time, but it's on mute. And he goes, "Yeah, the moment you leave, Chilton's going to play the volume extra loud of this, TV evangelist." Because he likes to torment me.
Yep, his petty torments.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And yeah, so he. This is where he.
Which makes the towel thing even more, I think, important as well, because he has nothing. Everything's stripped out of his thing, and the only thing that he had there was the cloth to dry his face and everything. When he washes it, and he gave it to her.
That's true. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it kind of lends. It's kind of like the people who have less, who still manage to give.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's kind of like that. But you can see that he is developing a fondness for her.
Yep.
And that's why he does that.
And I think he also has that remorse that he made her feel like shit on top of it.
Yep. Yep. what she went through.
Yeah.
And but here is where he offers a psych profile on Buffalo Bill, because she wants to talk about like the head in the jar and everything like that. And she does mention, well, okay, so yeah, she wants to talk about the head in the jar, and he wants to offer her information or insight into Buffalo Bill. But to do that, he wants things in return, most notably to be in a different facility far away from Chilton, and preferably with like a view of a tree or water or something. And this establishes like their quid pro quo type relationship.
Yep.
And now we meet Buffalo Bill, played by Ted Levine. Does a fantastic job.
Oh yeah, he's creepy as shit in this.
So we see him. This is where he abducts Catherine Martin. So she's driving home to her apartment, and she gets there. She's walking in with a bag of groceries. She sees this man struggling to get a chair into his van. So she offers to help.
You did see he was stalking her from the bushes. He had on the night goggles on.
Yep.
So yeah, it's interesting how they kind of did the back stuff with him, because they don't get into it that thoroughly, but it's all kind of mapped out in the scenes.
Yeah,
I thought was interesting.
Yeah, they did a good job. And so she helps him. She gets on the end where she is actually inside the van.
He directs her towards it. So because my hand, I can't lift that. You got to get in there. Yeah, really get in there. So as she's in, he's pushing now with all of his might. They're all there. She's all the way in, and then he hops in as well. And then he takes that cast and he starts punching her in the face. We're seeing part of it. We're not seeing the full contact, but he's belting her pretty good where she's like out. So then he closes the doors, and then he grabs a pair of scissors and he cuts the whole back of her shirt off, her blouse, and he just sees all this skin, and he's like wetting himself. He's, oh my God. And he's like, touching her back and everything. Like that's the perfect what he needs. It's really creepy. And then he tosses her blouse out into the street and drives off. Very Ted Bundy-esque. Isn't he the one who did that? He did something similar.
He would abduct women, but he didn't really have to work hard because he was attractive and women would willingly go with him.
Right.
So it was And Gap walks in at just the right moment of when you're wetting yourself. And hello, Gap. Hope you're doing well.
Shit. What's up?
Gap says, I've not seen this movie, so I just want to drop by and say hello to everyone. No kidding.
Wow.
I'm actually surprised. I didn't think we'd find anybody who hadn't seen the movie.
Holy shit. Right now it's on Max. If you have Max, go check it out. But I was describing a scene with Buffalo Bill when he just kidnapped this chick. And I wasn't having the wedding. I wasn't wedding myself. Buffalo Bill.
Don't believe a word of it. Vinny was actually wedding himself.
I literally said Buffalo Bill was wedding
restaurant
himself.
Right down the street, and they had everything that he wanted to order in the place.
He
wetted himself all over the place.
I love how we have two cats in the chat right now, Bone and Gap. This is great. I love my cats.
Oh, by the way, there was a cat her cat was overseeing the entire abduction.
Yeah, her cat in the window. Yeah, definitely, Gap. Put it on your list. This is such a classic.
It is. It's disturbing, but it won 7 Oscars.
Gap, you have a good night, Gap. It's nowhere near as creepy as The Exorcist, if that's what you're worried about.
It's a different creep factor.
And hello, Ancient One. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for stopping by.
Yeah, hello.
It is good to see you in the chat.
Yep. Yep. Good. Glad to have you. All right. And okay, so next thing we see is um so Clarice is on she's doing some more training and stuff. She's pulled off again by her instructor saying that another girl has been murdered and she needs to accompany Jack to West Virginia to investigate.
Mhm.
So yeah, they head to West Virginia.
I do like the montage that they had too of this training because you could see how she's not perfect. She's no Mary Sue at all.
Yeah.
They're showing like when they get into a house and she didn't clear her area.
Yep.
She had the blind spot and they go boom, put the gun to her head. You're dead. Like, you know what you did wrong? She said, I didn't clear my blind spot. That's right.
Yeah, she didn't clear the corner. Yeah.
Yep.
And that comes into play later. And yeah, that I'm so glad you brought that up because that is a contrast to when she's in Jack Crawford's office in the beginning and he's saying like she graduated summa cum laude in her class she's got a double degree in psychology and criminology and yeah, like high honors.
Yep.
Awesome.
She
And then
she's got the book smarts and she can think analytically like that.
Yep.
Which is good.
And then you see her like in actual training and she's making mistakes. And I like that because that's very realistic.
Yeah. And it's very humanizing towards the characters.
Yep.
Yeah, they did a good job with that.
Yep. Yeah, fantastic. And like when she's being corrected, she takes that and she like wants to learn from that. It's very well done.
Yeah, no, they did an excellent job.
Okay, so her and Jack arrive at at a funeral home to examine this woman's body, and Jack, there's like a whole bunch of cops there.
Yeah.
Like the local sheriff and all the deputies and all that stuff.
Yeah.
They're not really pleased to see Jack and she and Clarice is so much shorter than everybody.
Yep.
And they're all kind of just glaring down at her.
Yeah.
It sets up an awkward scene for her. Like you feel that.
Yeah, it's like, what's this little girl doing here? And they're all just like, they're giving her the stink eye basically.
Yep.
Some of them look like they're drooling over themselves, but for the most part, you can see it's just like a disrespect thing.
It's very much disrespect. That's what I got from it. It's kind of like, what are you people doing here?
And Jack also disrespects her in this scene.
Yes, so he goes to the sheriff and first he's like, really want to thank you guys for inviting us, to work on this case with you. And the dude's like, no, I didn't call you in. That was the state attorney general. And so he says, listen, can I talk to you privately? Because there's some sexual aspects to this case and he turns to Clarice and then he turns back and says that I'd rather just talk in private about.
Yep.
And
not in the presence of a lady, basically.
Yeah.
Well, the thing I thought was really crucial too in this scene is that we see what Lecter had already planted in her head starts to affect her. She's as she's looking at everything, she takes a peek behind the doors and she sees the families and all that. And as she's walking, like in her mind, we're seeing her. She's walking down towards the casket, and she looks in, and it's her father. And when the camera pans back to her, it's her as a little girl, and then you hear them go, "Starling, Agent Starling," and she's still standing by the door looking in. She never walked down there, and she gets pulled into the office with Jack and the other guys. But I think it's good because she's already thinking again about her past, about these things. I like how they set it up. It's really good.
Yeah. So all the local deputies, whatever, that they all descend into the medical exam room, and it's just like overwhelmed, and so she's like, hey, everybody, and she gets everybody's attention. She's like, I'm sure that the family appreciates everything you've done, getting us to this point and everything, but if you could please just let us do what we need to do, if you could just clear out and everything. And surprisingly, like, although they do give her stink eye, they listen and they leave.
Yep.
So that was good. Like she kind of exercised some backbone there.
Yep.
Um,
And she proves herself to Jack as well in the same process.
Yep.
You can see he's kind of proud of her.
Yep. And then the medical examiner, Jack, and Clarice now are just in the room, and they put that stuff under the nostrils so that the smell of the cadaver doesn't overwhelm them.
Yeah, because this one, they got out of the bog.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be bloated and the smell and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And and she kind of hesitates, like they're all like ready to go in and examine the body, and she hesitates, and Jack's like, Clarice, and so she turns around and approaches, and she starts her report on like the recorder thing that she uses. And so she's making a verbal note of all of the physical findings on the body, and she makes special note of the hands. So she says that her hands, her fingernails look grimy, like she tried to claw her way out of something, and there's two fingernails missing.
Yep.
And there's a guy snapping Polaroids, and she looks at one of the Polaroids, or one of them does. I can't remember who it was now, but they noticed that there's something in the throat.
Yeah, because as a Polaroid was clearing up, they saw some, I think it was her.
I think it was her that noticed the thing in the throat, and so they retrieve it. It's some kind of cocoon.
Mm-hmm.
So Clarice takes the cocoon to a couple of her buddies at like this museum, and I really like this part of the movie because these two guys are playing chess, but they're using actual beetles. So they're in the entomology department, and it's just funny, and they're very chill, kind of quirky.
The bald guy, I think he was the one that was on Frasier.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was someone that worked at the radio station with them. He was like the DJ guy or something. I think he either came in before or after him. But he was a funny little guy. Good actor. I can't remember the character's name on the show.
Manliness says VapoRub, like Vicks VapoRub, can be used for that thing under your nose as well. I have heard of that, but I think, don't they use something a little stronger than that?
I think so. I don't remember the name of it.
I don't either.
I know it's very specific to the ones that the people who do deal with bodies.
Yeah, but yeah, the VapoRub, that is a hack. That is a hack. So she visits these guys, and they're really cool, and Pilcher is hitting on her, and he's but he's not like crass about it. Like he's got kind of like this geeky charm. And then the other one, Rodin, he's the one who's carefully cutting the cocoon open to find out what's in it. And we find out that what's in it is the death's head moth. And we find out that they're actually not native to America, that they're only found in Asia.
Yep.
And he said, someone took great care of this, fed it with honey, kept it warm, all kinds of stuff. Like, this person loved this. And I also love this scene because this whole scene right here, I think Chris Carter, the creator of X-Files, was inspired by this scene because the way that she interacts with Roden
Oh, the
and
3 nerd guys.
yeah, the lone gunman.
Yeah.
Um, there's only 2 of the bug guys, but
Yeah.
you know, the way that they interact with each other, like especially like with Mulder, they're very like geeky and stuff, but they're all about Scully, like, oh, Scully's so hot, stuff like
Mhm.
that.
Yep.
Yeah,
They weren't wrong.
and incidentally, I know this from research, and because I love the X-Files, Scully, Agent Scully, is modeled after Clarice Starling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So then it's great that they brought her in as another character anyway in the
Yep.
show.
Yep.
Yeah. Bedelia.
Yep. Yeah, I thought of
You
that as
hated
well.
saying that name.
I know, I hate Bedelia. I don't like it.
Yeah.
And her last name, me too, is awful, but
Yeah.
Um,
Fuck. I remember that her name when she went to Italy was a lot better. The fake name that she was going by. It seemed
yeah,
a lot more fitting.
the last name was Fell. I can't remember the first name she was going by, but
Yeah.
manliness. I'm sorry to hear that about your dad.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's really sad.
Shit.
Okay, so next scene takes us to Buffalo Bill's basement, where we see like all kinds of I think they're all moths, but some of them did look like butterflies, so I'm not really sure.
Yeah, it looked like there was a mix for sure.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
It's not really it doesn't really matter. I just
No.
yeah.
It's just
And-
they see because like, they're everywhere, and it's the whole thing of that the transformation, the cocoon thing, because we start to get into the head now of this creep.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it makes sense why he did that.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, and we see the mannequins dressed as women. Okay, so we're looking at him from behind, and he's sitting nude at his sewing table. And we're also hearing the woman that he abducted. We're hearing her voice. Can anybody hear me? Hello?
Mm-hmm.
We don't see her. We just hear her at that point.
Yep.
So back at the FBI, they've got the news on, and we find out that the woman that Buffalo Bill has abducted is a senator's daughter, Senator Ruth Martin,
Mm-hmm.
and her daughter's name is Catherine Martin. And the way that she's speaking about Catherine, they take note of because she keeps using her first name, like my daughter Catherine and stuff, and really humanize her. And the FBI people are like, man, that's really smart. And Clarice says, yeah, it's good because if it makes him see her as a human, that way it'll be harder for him to cut her up.
Yep.
And then Clarice pays another visit to Hannibal. And when she gets there, Chilton is like in her face. He's mad that she's been seeing Hannibal without his permission and everything. He's like, I have rights. He's my patient. And
Mm-hmm.
she's like, look, take it up with the attorney general and let me do my job.
Yeah, because she's like, we're trying to save lives here.
Yeah. I love that because he needs
stop
to be
being
knocked.
a puss. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, he needs to be knocked down.
Because his whole thing is he wants he wants to be the guy who broke Hannibal. That he's gonna write a whole book on him and all this shit. Like Chilton's just a slimy individual.
Yep. Yeah. He really is.
Mm-hmm.
He's awful. Yeah. Okay. So she gets to Hannibal's cell, and she offers Hannibal a deal. She says that this comes from Senator Martin, and that if her daughter is found alive, that he'll be transferred to a new facility. I forget exactly where, but also 1 week a year.
Plum Island,
yeah. At 1 week a year, he'll be able to walk the beaches.
Yeah.
And he's like, Plum Island, that's the animal disease island,
Mhm.
and yeah, so he's not interested in this
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah, he's not even saying anything. He's just like listening to her at first.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, he digests it all, and it's like, yeah, I know what that place is, and it's literally like we were the experiments, and they were dumping waste,
Mhm.
and yeah, it's yeah, it sounds like, well, no, she's like, not all of it's like that. There are some beaches and nice things about it. It's a beautiful area.
Yeah, I've been to Plum Island.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are not very nice spots.
Yeah, but she's trying to sound like a used car salesman.
Yeah, of course, because they need as
Yeah.
much information on the case as they can get.
Yep. And
Um,
this is where things take a big turn into
mhm.
what he wants. That's it's not that. It's the more background on her. The thing that
Yes.
Jack told him don't do.
Yep. Yeah, she totally forgets about what Jack says, and yeah, he says if he helps her, you know, she has to tell him personal details of her life.
Mhm.
Um, and the first thing that he um asks about is, you know, like what is the most painful memory of your childhood? And she talks about the death of her father.
Mhm.
Um, when she was 10, and he was a police officer who was killed by robbers. And then he returns a favor by providing some insight about the symbolism of the butterfly and
Mhm.
the transfer, like how it symbolizes transformation and change and all that stuff. And then she tells him about how she went to live with. She gives him some more background on her. She tells him how she went to go live with family, because he asks like what happened to you after your father died, because she had already mentioned that her mother was already passed
Mhm.
away. So she mentions that she went to go live with family in Montana. They had a ranch,
Mhm.
and it was a cattle and sheep ranch. And but she ran away one day. She was only there for a couple of months.
Mhm.
And then he offers some more insight, and she talks about the transformation stuff, and she says, you know, something about how transsexuals aren't violent and stuff like that. And he says our Billy isn't a transsexual, though he thinks he is.
Mhm.
And she's like, well, what do you mean by that? And he says that there are 3 main surgery centers in the U.S. Now, we got to keep in mind that this movie, that first of all, the book came out in 1988. The movie came out in 91. So
Yeah.
this is dated.
Mhm.
So yeah, we just got to keep that in mind that so at the time there were 3 main surgery centers for sex reassignment in the country.
Right.
And he says he wouldn't be surprised if he was turned down by one, if not all 3.
Right.
And she's like, why is that? And he mentions that because of his, you know, many, like, basically his childhood sociopathy,
Mhm.
and tells her to look for like violent behaviors and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And he says that years of abuse has made him hate himself, so he wants to transform. He thinks that, you know, turning into a woman is what he wants. And he says, but he's, you know, his pathology is not that. It's 1,000 times more savage than that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I like it because when he's saying all this information on Buffalo Bill, we see Chilton listening to the
Yeah.
conversation.
He's recording it. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, he's recording it. And we saw that in the show.
Yep. He had everything bugged.
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting because like he's all smiling and he's excited because he's getting extra details of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. He's going to put it all in the book.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he thinks he is.
Yep.
It's funny how the psychological breakdown of a Buffalo Bill, how they play it in here, and like it could apply 200%, not 100%, 200%. I know you love that.
Vinny Mac.
Yeah, because it's more than one person agrees with me. So yeah, but to today in the psychos who've done all those horrible things, like the last couple of shootings and stuff, it was people who were of the trans nature. So his psychological profile in Buffalo Bill even applies to some of the stuff that's going on today, which is crazy.
Yeah.
You know?
The thing is, in this movie, they're not saying that though. They're saying that
Well, yeah, he's more damn. I mean, for what they're building up on this character and the reason why he's doing what he's doing, yeah, it's a little bit different. But part of that is there in the profiling that he's giving her with the violent natures and all that stuff, and this need to change.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then okay, so then next we see is
Well, we're gonna get into the whole thing of what's been giving her nightmares and everything. Though
not yet though.
it's during the scene, though, isn't it?
Nope.
I thought it was.
Nope.
The start of it wasn't, because I know the end of it is in a different location.
Not it comes in a little bit later.
Okay.
Yeah. So the next scene we see is Buffalo Bill. We're back in his basement, and we see him as if we're looking up for him from like a well, and he's holding his dog, whose name is Precious, and he's telling Catherine, who's in the well, he says it rubs the lotion on its skin or it gets the hose again, and
Put the
iconic
guinea
line.
pig in the basket.
This is a iconic line. Everybody knows this line, even people who have never seen the movie.
Right.
And she's crying, pleading. She's like, she doesn't want to do this. She wants to get out. And he repeats himself. It puts the lotion on his skin or it gets the hose again. And she's begging to go home. And she's like, I want to see my mommy and this and that. And then he says, now it puts the lotion in the basket. And
Completely ignoring her,
yeah. And she's just crying and crying and crying.
And then he starts to imitate her too. He's doing the same thing in her face, just like a freak.
Yeah.
Like it's
he's mimicking her.
Yeah, he's mimicking her, almost like that. Yeah, when he transforms, he could use that in his little repertoire of crazy.
Mm-hmm. And now this basket that she has to put the lotion in has a light attached to it.
Yeah.
And
it's a basket, a string, the light, and then the string continues going.
Yeah. And so he starts pulling the basket up, and the light shines on the wall of the well, and it shows bloody finger marks. And it does kind of like a close up of a fingernail on the wall.
Yeah, the
and
woman
she's
they got out of the water.
Yep, of the last victim. Yep, and she starts freaking out, screaming, and he starts like yelling back at her, like ah.
Yeah, what a freak! Yeah, because as he pulled the bug up, the light was shining on everything, and she saw all the bloody claw marks everywhere. That had to really be horrifying.
That was terrifying. She was screaming in horror of that.
And that victim, it's the last body they found, but it was actually the first victim, the one they got out of the water.
The one that they went to West Virginia to examine.
Yeah, because that's the thing. They thought otherwise. They thought, oh, this is just the new body. That was actually the first body, and he was trying to weigh her down.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because that comes into play in a little bit. I just make sure people are aware of that.
Yep. Okay, and then now we're in Hannibal's cell, and Chilton, who is fiddling with his fancy gold pen and is lying on Hannibal's bed,
As
is telling.
he's in that like that, not gurney, the
He's
dolly. He's strapped to the dolly, and he's got the mask, or like the metal one that's pressing on his nose.
Yep. Yeah, he's restrained. He's on that dolly thing. And Chilton is saying, you know, there never was a deal. I checked myself, and he says, but there is one now. And he gets up, and he leaves his pen there on the bed, and Hannibal's just staring at the pen.
Mm-hmm.
And so the new deal is that if he identifies, and this does come from the senator,
Yep.
if he identifies Buffalo Bill by name, and if Catherine is returned unharmed, he'll be transferred to a hospital in Tennessee. And then he's like, tell me his name. And then Lecter finally says his first name is Lewis. I'll tell the senator the rest in Tennessee, but I have a few conditions myself.
Yeah, he says, I'll tell her in person.
Yeah.
You're not going to get more out of me until I'm there.
Yeah.
Which
And
again, very brilliant too.
yeah. And so then Jack gets a call from I think it's the FBI in DC, asking if he made a phony deal with Hannibal in Senator Martin's name, and he says, yeah, I had to try something.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy goes, well, the senator is mad as hell, and now they've got justice handling the case.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the case has been taken off of their hands.
Yeah, they messed up.
Yeah. So they get Hannibal to Tennessee, and he meets Senator Martin, and she brings papers guaranteeing his rights and all that stuff. And he does say, he says Buffalo Bill's real name is Louis Friend. Mm-hmm. And he says, we met once when a patient referred him to me. And then he says something crude about her breastfeeding and how it toughens the nipples.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that amputees will often feel a tickle in their leg even if the leg is gone. He says, what part of you will tickle when Catherine is on the slab? And she's like, I'm done with this thing. Take him out of here.
Get this thing away from me.
No, what part of you will tickle when you find your girl on the slab?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's great line delivery too.
Yeah. And then as she's walking away, one more thing. Love the suit.
Yeah. He does say, to his credit, he does give a description of Buffalo Bill.
Yep.
5'10", sturdy built, 180 pounds, blonde hair, pale blue eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a basic. I mean, that is such a basic serial killer profile.
Is that where he said it too? He goes where he tells Starling when he goes that Buffalo Bill was actually, that was the lover of the Miss Moffat.
Yeah, he reveals that.
Okay, but he didn't say it to the senator, right?
No, he says that to
Clarice.
To Clarice. Yeah, and Louis Friend is an anagram, which translates to fool's gold. By the way.
Which because she's breaking that down when she finds out.
Yeah.
Clarice does.
Yeah. And we see Chilton giving a press conference in front of the courthouse, and you can see him just basking in all the publicity he's getting because that's what he needs.
Mm-hmm.
Clarice decides to visit Hannibal, and she's actually not supposed to, but she sneaks
in while Chilton's getting cameras on him.
Yeah, she sneaks her way in, and she's like, the guards there ask her, "Are you with Chilton?" And she's like, "Yeah, I just saw him outside." So technically, she didn't lie. She did not lie.
Right.
So she gets in, and he's reading a book. He's not facing the door that she walks in from. And she approaches this cage that they made for him in this room. It's like a specially built prison cell for him.
Mm-hmm.
like places his drawings at the cage and says, "Thought you'd like these back at least until you get your view."
Mhm.
And he puts his book down and he turns around in his chair and he says, "People will say we're in love."
Yeah.
And she asks him more question. Now this is urgent because she knows she's on borrowed time and she's not supposed to be there.
Mhm.
So she's asking him, she's like urgently asking him more questions about Buffalo Bill and everything. And Hannibal reveals he's like, Buffalo Bill covets. And what do we begin to covet? Things that we regularly see.
Mhm.
And now he's like, now your turn. Give me more details. Why did you run away from the ranch in Montana? And here is where we learn her full
Okay,
childhood
good.
backstory.
Mhm.
So we learn that she woke up early one morning to the sound of screaming, and she describes it as sounding like children screaming. So she went downstairs toward the sound, which she followed to the barn, and and yes, she said like she couldn't stand that screaming, so she opened the barn like she knew she shouldn't, but she did.
Mhm.
And that's where she saw the lambs getting slaughtered.
Yeah.
And she wanted to free them, so she opened the pen to release them, but they wouldn't run. So she picked one of them up and she carried it with her she ran for 3 miles.
Mhm.
Until a sheriff picked her up. And Hannibal asks, then what happened? And she says, I was sent to live in an orphanage. And he says, and what happened to the lamb? And she says, the rancher slaughtered it.
Mhm.
And she admits that to this day, she still wakes up to the sound of the screaming.
Yep.
And he says, so you think that if you find Catherine, you won't hear the lambs screaming anymore?
Right.
And she's like, I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah.
And
It was a
then,
good scene because it to start it all off too. He said that he goes, tell me the truth, don't lie," because he's already pissed off that she lied to him about the deal.
and this is okay. So as they're talking, as they're having their exchange here, they're doing this extreme close up of his face, the way he's glaring, like staring at her, and a close up of her face, and they keep doing face close ups.
Mm-hmm.
I love the way that's directed.
Yeah, it adds to the eeriness of the scene as well, and it's them. Everything else is completely tuned out,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just like really important too of how they did that because it is very crucial to the story, and
Yep.
that connection that he's making with her like that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really interesting. But
Yeah.
and Chilton is on his way over, and she's like, "Come on, give me a name, give me," like she's she wants more info. But
Hello, Country Shape Media. So, Country Shape Media says this movie has certain scenes that have been parodied more times than I can count. He says even Joe Dirt had a parody scene based on this movie. Like, yeah, this movie is a classic.
Oh yeah.
Like, I was surprised. So we did have a member in the chat earlier who hadn't seen this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I was shocked at that.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
Surprising, but yeah, like you said, some younger people have not.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Like I can understand that. Like younger kids. Like like I would say, it surprises me if anyone millennial or older hasn't seen this movie.
And that's the funny thing. Gap is definitely older.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Surprised at that. I hope he does see it.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those ones that you have to. If you love movies, this is one of the ones you just go see it because it's really damn good.
Yeah, it's just a good movie.
Mhm.
It really is.
Because everything's there you need. Yeah, because as Chilton comes and tries to take her away, he's like, "What is she doing? Get her out of here!" And Hannibal is just standing like cold as ice, and he's like, "Oh, Agent Starling, you forgot your files." And she just like she wiggles out of their arms basically because it's like holding her kind of lightly by the arms to pull her out. And she
Mhm.
runs back and she goes to grab her files, and he gently caresses her finger,
Yes.
which is yeah extra creepy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
And after that,
it's
later on,
yeah, it's
we hear we see one of those old school tape recorders
mhm.
playing classical music in Hannibal's cell.
Which that's Anthony Hopkins. He wrote that.
No way!
That's his. Yep.
I didn't know that.
He wrote that. I believe he also performed it. So what you're hearing on that recorder is actually Anthony Hopkins playing his musical piece. In fact, they did a giant concert for one of his birthdays a number of years ago where they did like I think it was close to 2 or 3 hours of all of his music and giant orchestra played it.
I was today years old, this minute years old, before I knew that he even wrote music.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
amazing. He's also a painter. Yeah.
Wow.
He's very much in tune with that character, whether he admits it or not. And I know he's had fun with the character as well. He used to go on road trips around America, and he would do that. He'd be driving all night or whatever. He just loved to see America, and he would go to like one of these like little motel walk-in, one of these inns, and he just if it came in from the rain, super dark, he'd walk up to the damn table and go, "Good evening," just to see the reaction on their faces.
That's awesome.
He's like, "I'd like to get a room."
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. I bet that's awesome, man.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite actors. That guy is just he's a trip
Yeah.
and a genuinely good guy.
Fantastic actor. Like oh
Totally.
yeah, everything he's in is he does great.
If they ever do a Mount Rushmore of actors, yeah, he'd be one of the first faces I'd put on there.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
say that hungry people feel tingling when their food is taken away from them. I wonder what you will feel, Vinny, when your many goats are taken away from you.
Many goats.
Many goats. We need Anthony Hopkins to draw. So on the table where Hannibal's tape recorder is playing his music, we see that he has made a sketch of Clarice holding a lamb.
Yep.
We need Anthony Hopkins to make a sketch of Vinny holding one of his goats or many goats.
What goat? What do we? What? Wouldn't it be guinea pigs? It'd be Tommy holding his guinea pigs.
Tommy with his guinea pigs and Vinny with his many goats.
Where does many goats come from?
Tell me, Vinny.
Confused.
Were the goats silent, Vinny?
What goats?
Many goats. Okay, so we're being
It feels
silly.
like a weird inside joke I'm not part of.
You definitely are part. Okay, we're just being silly. So back on
motivation. How about Vinny holding Dominic the donkey?
Country Shape Media says, I love that across the whole series. I'm sorry. He says, I love that across the whole series. Even when you have so many villains, the world of Hannibal Lecter never lets you forget that Hannibal Lecter is still the main antagonist and is always dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's a very good point. So in Red Dragon, it's a movie about the Tooth Fairy, Dollarhide, but it's still a movie about Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
Same with this movie. It's about serial killer Buffalo Bill, but it's still a movie about Hannibal Lecter.
Right.
Yeah, it's I like as soon as we're done with the movies, reviewing the movies, which is just the one after this, Hannibal, I'm gonna read the books. I've got to read the books now.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, Frank and I, we want to both get back into the Dexter series as well because I I've read or listened to the audio up to book 4, I think,
Nice.
and apparently I think there's 8 of them. So yeah, and like I said, I can't wait till Sunday because I can finally talk about what the hell happened to Dokes in the books.
Yeah, I want that.
Yeah, because it's really it's crazy. But yeah, with this stuff, I mean, again, it's brilliant how they did this and the stuff that they have here. So yeah, that scene where you see the drawing, then you hear the 2 guards going, "You believe this sick creep? He wanted a second dinner and they're giving it to him.
Yeah.
Lamb chops,
Extra rare.
extra rare, yeah."
Yeah.
And he's like behind a little curtain, like he's going to the bathroom, and he's like, "Oh,
Mm.
just a moment, fellas, give me one more moment." And you see he's regurgitating the gold pen. What's the part of the pen that?
I just call it a clip. Pen clip.
Basically, yeah, the clip. He's regurgitating that, and you see he comes out from behind the thing, and as he's standing there, they want to prepare him because they're not just going to bring the meal in there. That he needs to be handcuffed. So as we see the angle, you could see the clip in between his fingers. Like I like how they shot that to show us where it is. And yeah, so he kind of like he sits down and he puts his hands on the other side of the bar and they secure his wrist. But the way that he's kind of sitting there with his hands loose, like you can't see it. And as they walk away, you see him like it's just in between his fingers and he starts to fiddle with the with the handcuffs as they enter his cell. And to buy himself time, they're about to put the meal down on his drawings, and he goes, "Please mind the drawings, fellas."
Yeah.
It's respect for respect. Because that's one thing I'll give him to that older guy. He said that when they first came in. He goes, "As long as you treat us with respect, we're going to treat you the same way." You know? And
Boyle said that.
Yep. So so he rolls it up nicely. He puts the meal down. As he puts the meal down, you see a handcuff come out of nowhere and grabs Boyle on the wrist there. And he's like, "He's loose!" And the other guy's like shitting his pants, and he kicks the cell door into the guy's face. He's taking them both out. Like in one quick motion, and he gets the other cuff onto the bar. So the older cop, he can't get out, and then he goes and he bites, or did he bite the older guy in the face?
Hang on. Good night, Bone. Thank you for joining us.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
I think it's the guy he hit the door. The
yeah, Pembry.
Pembry, yeah.
He
bites
smashes.
him in the
Yeah. He smashes Pembry with the door of the cage.
Yeah.
And he grabs his face and bites his cheek, and then he starts slamming his head against the bars a few times, and then also maces him. Like he does a number on Pembry.
Oh yeah, that guy's down on the floor. So then he picks up the club and he turns back towards Boyle, and he just does that famous hit. It's the figure I have.
Yeah,
that scene. What a beautiful figure too it is. Yeah. And he starts, and he's listening to his music the whole time it's playing. And as it's done, he's covered in blood. He's got the blood leaking down his face, and you just see him, like with his hands, like he's orchestrating the concert there, in his mind, and he's listening to his music. And then he notices the other dude is still crawling on the floor, Pembry. So he turns like, "Oh, I almost forgot." And he's looking down, and one of the things that fell out of Boyle's pocket was like a little pocket knife. He picks it up, and he makes his way towards Pembry.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Tommy, Country Straight Media has a question for you. He asks, "Is the guinea pig in Tommy's icon named Guineaville Pigter?"
Well, in order for me to answer that, I would have to get something from you first, Country Shape Media. So tell me, what is it that you tried to get out of being in the chat with us tonight? Is it a sense of satisfaction of knowing more about this movie than maybe some of us on the panel do? I am very curious to hear your answer.
I love it. Yep, this is all about quid pro quo with this movie, and that's great. I love it.
How are they gonna say with this pig?
This pig, yeah. Oh, all
What's
right. So Melina says the room they have Jason chained up in and Jason X looks like the room Hannibal escapes from.
Hmm.
Oh man.
X was such a bad movie though.
Yeah, it was. I don't remember that, so I'm gonna have to look.
I think that Vinny may be on crack. It may be all the goats, the screaming of the goats that have driven him so crazy. Jason X was a fantastic movie, and while the room may
Kick
have
this pig.
similarities
Kick
with
this
him
pig
being
right
chained
now.
up, you know what, Vinny? Thank you. And so as I was saying, the room may
If
bear
this
some
was my channel,
similarities,
there'd be
but
so many profanities thrown your way.
don't make me take care of you
You
again. I'll take you out
nice
back and then
hole.
I'll slice you open. But the room in that one was actually a more open room surrounded by water. So there was a bit of a huge difference between the
It
way
was
the
surrounded
rooms
by
are set up.
water.
Yes.
Jason X was in space. How is it surrounded by
The
water?
the beginning
the
the
beginning
beginning
of
of
the
it the beginning of
Oh.
it when he's chained up it's actually surrounded by water.
Oh man, I'm gonna need to watch that movie. And Melina says I watched it for free and still want my money back.
Thank you. Yeah. I only watched it with the guys because like I've never seen it. I only saw pieces of it, and they're like, "Oh, cool, it's one of those funny movies to watch." It was so bad.
I love this. Country Shape Media says, "'Tis the pursuit of knowledge and the meeting of minds as they discuss a topic is what I seek."
Oh, beautiful.
Fantastic.
Love it.
I love all the pretense. Okay, so yeah, that scene happens, and then the officers downstairs, they notice that the elevator starts moving. It goes to the 5th floor,
Mhm.
and then they hear a couple of gunshots,
Mhm.
and the officer, like, who seems to be in charge of everybody, Tate, he gets on his radio and says, "Seal off a 10-mile radius. We think he's on like on the roof or something, like whatever." Yeah, something like that.
Well, when they go up there, they see because it stops on floor 3. But when they go up
Yeah.
there, they go to take a look at the big room, and you see that Boyle is tied up on like the top of the cage.
Okay,
And
but before that, so the elevator goes up to 5. They hear 2 shots. Then the elevator comes back down to
well,
uh
they don't know he's on the roof of it until they're getting Pembry.
okay, so
The
that
blood
was
starts
after.
trickling. Yeah, because the
Yeah,
blood starts trickling.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, because then they get into the room. They see Boyle. He's strung up, and there's like the red, white, and blue banner that's in that room. It almost looks like butterfly wings.
I love how they set the scene. So when the officers get up to that floor, um, the room that Hannibal's cage is in is the doors to the room have 2 glass panels, but they're frosted glass,
Mhm.
and we can see it. To me, it looked like an angel.
Yeah, I'd say that. It definitely made wings, is what it did with
It
the red, white, and
yeah,
blue. Yeah,
definitely with wings. Yeah.
Perhaps
'cause
they were
it's
trying to
backlit.
go for a Red Bull commercial, because Red Bull gives you wings. Country Shaped Media, he says, "'Tis the pursuit of knowledge and meeting of minds as they discuss a topic is what I seek. Then I am the pig that you are searching for."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the story. Yeah, they go to get Boyle down, but then they see Pembry, and someone goes, "He's still alive." You could hear like the wheezing coming out of his mouth, and he's all disfigured.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they get the medics up there. So then when they wheel him out, they're in the elevator, and you got like the mask over his face and everything, and you start to see the trickling of blood on the white sheet. And they
Yep.
look up, and one of the lead cops in there, he's on the walkie-talkie, and because they're saying like, yeah, we need the radius blocked off, and we think he's probably still upstairs, and yeah, like he's looking around. They wait until the elevator lands. They get everyone out, and he hits the thing to keep the doors open, the button to keep them open, and he's pointing up like he's right there. So they send guys like on the next floor up, and they open up the elevator doors, and they pull the little mirror out to see, and you see what looks like Hannibal in the full white garb he was wearing, but there's blood all over the place, and like he's like the top half of him's leaning on the door that's on the ceiling of the elevator. So they're looking from on top, in the elevator shaft, and they go, "What do we do?" And they go, do like wound his leg, and they shoot him in the leg. There's no movement, so they decide on the bottom, like, we're just going to open it up. And as they open it up, the whole body kind of drops down, and it's just hanging there, and he has no face.
Yep. And then it cuts to the ambulance, and we see, and yes, the guy. So the medic in the ambulance is like on the radio, telling them like that they've got Officer and he's
stable.
Pembry, and he's coming in, all this stuff. Now, as he's saying that, he's not looking at Pembry. He's kind of looking toward the front of the van, turned away from him, and then we see Pembry stand up, and he reaches and pulls his face off.
Yeah.
And that's where it's revealed that it's actually Hannibal.
Yeah, wearing Pembry's face, his whole face and scalp.
That was awesome. Love that scene.
Out of all the Hannibals that we've seen, with that scene alone, he becomes the most vicious and horrific, I think.
Yep.
It's just, there's something about him that is so extra terrifying in that whole escape sequence.
Yeah.
I don't think the other guys who played him pulled off. And don't get me wrong, like, they all did a great job. And Mads Mikkelsen, I think he'd be my second favorite for sure. But holy crap, it's fantastic.
Yeah, really, it's so well done. And they set the tone up too, and they do it without being explicit. Like, I wouldn't classify this as horror. This is definitely it kind of skirts the line, but I would say it's more thriller.
Suspense thriller with a drop of horror.
With a drop of horror, yeah. And so it's just a very well told story.
Far be it for me to say, but I believe that what really you're seeing here is a psychological thriller, because you talk about the danger that Hannibal Lecter poses, but you don't even see that through most of the film unless you're really paying attention to all the clues that he's dropping about the other would-be suspect that they are searching for. Because think about who is more dangerous, the man that you are looking for, or the one who is able to lead you to him while giving you clues like he is helping you. That is what actually makes him seem so much more dangerous, without even most people being aware that they are seeing it.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. I've thought of that. Like, he's able to find these serial killers while being behind bars, and really just getting what the information that the FBI has. And he's able to find these killers from inside his cell, because he really is brilliant.
Oh yeah.
But also because he knows how they think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because in Red Dragon, he had not met him, but he did start to get correspondence with him. With this one, he actually did meet Buffalo Bill. He said he had met him one time. Because the patient, Miss Moffat there. But so he did recall, because he said it in one of the conversations he had with Clarice, I believe. And so
he met him once. Yeah.
And he could tell
that's
knew
how he was able to give a description.
Yeah, but he said the profiling too on him, what he had seen, and the reasoning too of like why him and Miss Moffat there broke up, of how dangerous this guy is. The whole thing is it's excellent. His whole escape was one of those. That's cinema. All I'm seeing is Marty Scorsese sitting on that chair. It's cinema.
It really is.
It's brilliant. Yeah.
And
so we cut back to Clarice, and they're like, He escaped, and she's not worried. And like her friend, her black friend, like who's kind of like the recruit as well, one of the ones who was training with her. She's like, "You're not worried." She goes, I can't explain it. Like he's not coming for me. It's almost like a respect thing. I can't really explain it because it is. There's something. There's a bond that they had gotten, and she's not worried. She really isn't.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I like how Clarice and her friend there at the academy, Ardelia, with they deduce that through, you know, because they're going through the file, and they deduce that Buffalo Bill knew this victim, Frederica Bimmel.
Yeah,
So,
because he kept saying, she goes, Lecter kept saying he covets. What
Yep.
do you covet? Something you see every day. So
Yep.
like that's she decides she wants to do an interview. She's thinking the first girl was someone he actually knew, because
Yep.
he starts evolving and he's changed. He's becoming a better killer. But why? It was out of all of them, this is the only one he tried to bury. Why did he try to
Yep.
bury her? Because like he weighted her down to make sure like no one would ever find the body in that
Yep.
bog. You know, so it's good. Like the
It
writing's
was-
really smart.
yeah, they did good. They did good sleuthing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so Clarice goes to Ohio to where Frederica's home, and Frederica's father lets Clarice look around in her room and stuff. And as Clarice is looking around, she looks into a little jewelry box, and she notices that the lining is kind of detached. So she pulls it apart and finds Polaroids of Frederica. They're not nude. They're just kind of they're like
She's like in her underwear.
yeah, they're in her underwear. Yeah.
Yeah, you could tell like whoever was taking them, like she was close with, and
Yep.
you know, it's like a tease kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, well, we're assuming we know who it is anyway, and yeah, that he's playing with her. But there's a lot of shots where she's kind of like turned to the side or her back, and you can see a lot of skin. You can see a lot
Yeah.
of her hump, so to speak.
Yeah. All of these girls that have been
Or big.
have been taken have been bigger girls, and
we're gonna find out why in the moment here.
Yep. So she keeps looking around. She goes into like an adjoining room, and looks into this closet, and hanging in the closet is this dress with a two diamond shaped sewing patterns.
She frantically gets on the line with Jack.
Yep, and she tells him, you know, she has at this point now she's figured it out. She's like, I know who this guy. He's a sewer, like he's skilled,
Yeah.
and
he's making a suit out of them or something. She was saying.
Yep, and he keeps them alive for a few days so that he can starve them and loosen the skin and all that stuff. And he's trying to get her attention while she's talking, and he's like, Clarice, yeah, we know who he is. We're on our way right now. And it's like a city just outside of Chicago, so they're headed there.
Mm-hmm.
And he says for her to stay where she is there in Ohio,
mm-hmm.
and gather some more evidence, because they want to nail him for murder, not kidnapping.
Right.
So from there we go back to Buffalo Bill's basement, and Samantha is tying she's given scraps to eat, and she has like a chicken bone, and she's tying the bone to a string, because the buckets that he lowers down has strings on them, obviously.
Yeah.
And
he's giving her scraps because he just wants to keep her alive, not to feed her well. He's starving so that the skin will get more loose, but he doesn't want her to die, because then he's not going to be able to
Yeah, and so she's tying this bone to the string, and her plan is to lure Precious over to her, and
Bill's dog. Yeah.
Yeah, and he doesn't know what's going on because there's music playing, so he can't hear her calling for Precious. And then
Yeah, he's
and
doing
also
creepy
while he at the same time, like while she's doing that, he's putting makeup on and he's wearing a female
someone's
scalp.
Yeah,
Yep. And
I guess
he
he's part Indian.
says the iconic things. He says, "Would you fuck me? I'd fuck me. I'd fuck me so hard." And then he dances.
We need
to
a
the
sound
camera.
bite of her saying this, people. Let's make that happen.
And then he dances for the camera, and then he kind of like leans over, and you could tell what he's doing. He's doing the tuck, and then he
Jesus.
stands up and he opens his arms up, and it looks like he doesn't have any junk, and yeah, and he's enjoying himself. He's like in this kind of quasi transition as a female state.
Yeah, he's sitting there sewing together fat girl skin and walking around naked and saying how much he wants to bang himself. A regular Tuesday for him.
Yeah, it's just a Tuesday. Yeah. And then so it cuts away from that, and then we see Clarice questioning a friend of Frederica's, and through the conversation she gets a lead to a woman named Mrs. Littman, and she gets the address, so she's headed there. And at the same time, so there's two things happening at once now. This gets really interesting. So she's making her way to Mrs. Littman's house, and at the same time, Jack with FBI, the SWAT team, everything is on a scene at the house, and they're disguising it as like this floral delivery thing, and they've even got a floral delivery van.
Yep. And yeah, as the guy's pressing like the doorbell, you see in the basement of Buffalo Bill there, like he's got like the light with the buzzer, like someone's upstairs. What the hell? Because he's in the middle trying to get his dog back and flipping out like a lunatic.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, he's not having a good day right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and we see one of the agents or SWAT team members or whoever, one of the guys is, he has like a box which you'd see like long stem roses delivered in, and he's ringing the doorbell. And then at the same time,
Clarice is at Mrs. Lipton's house.
Yep.
Knocking on the door.
And then we see, so as the guy's ringing the doorbell, Buffalo Bill goes to answer the door, and who's there at the door? Clarice. So
then we see the whole SWAT team and Jack, and they're standing in what is a completely empty house, and they go, "There's nothing in here," and then right away he goes, "Starling."
Yeah.
Like, yep.
Yeah.
She's in danger now.
Yeah.
Now we know where he is, but we are very far away.
Yeah.
Well, I think that you are both missing something also incredibly important about this film. So we talk about the psychological thriller aspect to it, the suspense thriller aspect. What we haven't talked about is one of the pivotal roles in this movie, which changes the course of the action, what could possibly happen to the girl. We're talking about a dog movie here. We are talking about Precious as a pivotal role in this film. Without Precious, this girl may have died early.
Yeah,
it's possible because he has the gun in his hand. He's ready to shoot her.
Yeah, absolutely. Precious, we're definitely going to talk about that, Tommy, because I actually did think of that. So, okay, so Clarice is talking to him. She's asking him like she asked for Mrs. Littman. He says, "Oh, she doesn't live here anymore," and she's like, "Well, we're looking for anybody who knows Frederica Bimmel," and he's like, was she that big fat woman? I read about her in the paper."
Yeah, he's playing dumb, and then he can't help himself, and he brings that up.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, well, Mrs. Littman has a son. Do you want me to get his number for you?" yeah, you can come in. So yeah, he invites her in, and she's standing there, and he's rifling through like a bunch of I think it's
Business
like
cards.
business cards. Yeah.
And the
it-
place is a mess.
yeah, it's a pigsty. It's a
There's
pigsty.
shit piled up, mails piled up,
Yep.
and she's just kind of like she's kind of glancing around while
Hmm.
she's talking, and he's still kind of asking, "Do you have any leads? Like, is there?" She's, "Well,
Yeah.
yeah, you think you're gonna catch him soon?" She goes, "We're kind of on to something. Yeah, we have a feeling we might be able to get this guy." And he's kind of like he's getting off on it too. You could see that he's happy that she really doesn't have a clue
Yeah.
that that she's literally talking to him, and he's like
Hmm.
he's almost like giggling kind of thing. Like,
Yeah. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
he
It's
plays it great. I mean,
fantastic.
yeah. And for those who don't know who he is, if anyone's ever seen Monk on television, he was the cop with Tony Shalhoub. With he's like the paranoid
Hmm.
the guy with a hypochondriac, and the cop that he was dealing with is played by him. The Buffalo Bill is the same dude. Which when I first found out, I was like, oh my god, I couldn't believe it
Yeah.
because it's two completely different characters all around. But
Yeah.
he's chewing up the scenery. Like you believe that this guy is this freak.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And she's kind of like half answering, like she's like, I don't know,
She's,
maybe
she's
stuff like
starting to
that.
put it together. Yeah.
Yeah, because
What
she's
was
looking around, and we as the audience, we see a picture of
of a butterfly?
a butterfly on the wall.
Yeah.
I don't think she sees it, but what she does see as she looks over to a whole bunch of sewing supplies
Mhm.
is a death head's moth lands on one of
Oh
the
yeah,
spools,
that was it. Yeah.
and
And
that's when she
she quickly
and
unbuttons
yes,
like the holster thing on the gun. Like
yep,
she's about to prepare herself.
yep, yep,
And
and he finally finds the card, and he's like, "Oh, here it is."
but I love this camera angle too because as he goes, oh here it is. We're seeing
Mm,
out from the other side of him by the kitchen. So
yeah,
there's like a doorway that's open there, and you could see his hand cannon is sitting there on the stove.
yeah. It's a humongous revolver. Like
Yeah,
I don't even know what
like
kind it is.
I think that's a 50 cal.
A
That's
revolver?
yeah, that's like it looked like an elephant gun. That thing was huge. Oh,
Yeah.
mailing list. There you go. There's your elephant. It's the elephant gun.
Yeah. Um.
It could easily been a 45 or the caliber gun that bullet that it takes because that was huge.
Yeah. It
That ain't
was.
no regular.
It had a very long muzzle.
Yeah,
So yeah, so we see that, and then she doesn't see that, we do as the audience, and I kind of like that when they do that. They give the audience some like
that extra danger.
yeah,
We already
yeah,
know she's in danger, but to have that extra heightened sense of it is really good.
yep, yeah, and so as he finds the card, she's like, um could I use your phone, please? And he like snickers, and he's like, yeah, sure, you can use the phone. And then she draws her gun, and she goes, put your hands up. She's like, freeze, put your hands up, turn around and spread your legs, and all the whole rigmarole thing.
Yeah.
And he puts his hands up, and he turns around, but then he drops all the cards and runs into the kitchen.
Yeah, that was because he's in shock. He can't believe that all of a sudden she just figures it out. Like he's almost blindsided as well, and
Yeah.
he goes into that panic. So as the way that he drops the cards too, because he's dropping them out of his fingers as he's raising his hands, but in
Yeah.
the same motion he rolls into the doorway and into
Yeah.
that next room. Like he's so slimy the way he did it.
Yeah, it's a dude. This dude is an awesome acting.
Oh yeah, it was fantastic in this.
Yeah. So she follows him, like she takes her coat off in the kitchen, just drops it on the floor. She's following him, and we notice the gun is not on the stove anymore.
Yep. And
So
oh my god, it becomes like a freaking a horror scene in there. As
yeah,
it's almost like like the video games, like the Resident Evil video games.
yeah,
It is just pure dungeon down there. Barely any lights. the music is blaring the whole time as well. He's got like some kind of rock music playing, and yeah, you randomly hear all the screaming. According to the internet, it's Colt Python 357. Yeah,
It's a
357.
no.
Mhm.
According to the scenes, it's
Mhm.
actually a 38 caliber special lead wad cutters.
Okay.
It's a
It's
Smith
a,
and Wesson Model 13.
yeah, it's
It's
a
a
massive one.
BFG 9000. All right, so yeah, she's following him down into the basement, and yeah, so she go, and there's like this basement has so many doors. I've never seen a basement with this many doors.
You know, it's funny that you brought that up too, because there was a house that my cousins lived in New York at one point, and they had to tear some of it down. They had like partitions all over the place with extra freaking doorways. It was like that.
Wow, I've never
So
seen that.
I guess certain houses, yeah, it was. But this is like extra creepy because there's like that well at the bottom of it too.
Mm,
Almost like in the It movie. Remember
yeah,
the creepy house, and
yep,
then there was like the well that was inside of it.
yep,
Yeah,
yep.
very disturbing.
So down in the basement, the basement of many doors. She opens one of them, and we see the skin suit on full. Well, it's not a full. It's on display. It's not a full skin suit. It's kind
Part
of
of it.
like
Yeah, it's missing
it's
some
like a
pieces.
partial.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
she's yeah. As soon as she opens up, she's so freaked out
Yep.
because that's the first time we actually saw the full, well, what he was working on. Because we see pieces where he's kind of
Yeah.
using the sewing machine, but yeah, she's trying to hunt him down, and yeah, she gets into the room because she hears the screaming from the girl in the well, and
Hmm.
I like how she's entering the room, she's closing the doors behind her and
Yep.
closing any doors that are open so that
Yep.
she doesn't get surprised, or she'll hear him.
She'll hear him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's doing good so far. She's doing very good.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so she makes it to the room with the well in it, and finds Samantha in there. And I'm sorry, Catherine.
Okay.
Catherine. Yeah, she sees Catherine in there, and she's like, "Oh my god, yeah." And she's like, "Okay, I'm FBI. You're gonna be safe, but I gotta leave you here for a minute." And Catherine's like, "No, don't fucking leave me here, you fucking bitch!" And like, yeah, she's like, "This dude is fucking crazy."
Yeah.
And she also has a dog. The dog is barking, and Clarice is like,
shut that dog up.
yeah, keep the dog quiet. Like, you guys got to be quiet.
Mhm.
To no avail.
Yep. She's freaking out. She's like, officers are on the way. Like, like it's
yeah,
like, I'm not alone. You're gonna be saved. You're gonna be okay.
yeah,
Trying to keep her calm to shut her up, and she's still going.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, so she makes her way, and she discovers the room with like that algae fish tank thing, but that's the room with all the moths in it and butterflies and stuff. And then she goes in another room, which is the room where we see Mrs. Littman decayed in a bathtub.
Yeah, and as soon as you see that, and that is like right out of Resident Evil, like the partial like nose up area of Mrs. Littman, all like decomposing. It was gross, and that's the last thing she sees before the lights all go out, and she's in pitch darkness, in pitch black. Yeah, that had to be one hell of a terrifying moment.
Oh, big time. Yeah. Yeah, it's pitch black. So this is cool because when they do that, we've seen it, as Vinny mentioned earlier in the movie. He has these night vision goggles things. So now we're seeing through that lens, and it's like green. Everything is green, and we're seeing her through his goggles.
He's just watching Clarice as she's stumbling and tripping everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, and this reminded me about how she failed to clear the room, and it's like, man, he could have just taken her out right then and there, but by sheer divine intervention, that didn't happen. So she's like reaching out, trying to feel like for something, and then he starts to reach out to her and like almost touch her, but he doesn't.
His face, I mean, I'm sorry, his hand is like centimeters away from her face.
Yeah,
Like
very
that close. Like
Yep.
yeah, he was about to like put his fingers through her hair or touch her face. She turns.
Yep.
But the thing is, like, you would think, because with her breath, if you just wave your hand over your face, if you're breathing, you'd feel air hitting you back a little bit.
Yeah.
Like
All I can think of is maybe because she was in a state of panic, and
oh, totally, yeah.
like that had to have
The music,
and
like
with the music too,
the
yeah.
boiler area, like the whole thing. It's like it fits, it makes sense.
And
but
with the screaming and the barking.
oh yeah, total chaos.
Yeah.
Chaos. So all your senses aren't really there. Like, but she's paying attention though, because as she's like tripped in a doorway, she's getting back up. Then you see his gun wave into the frame, and then he's pointing at her, and as like he clicks back the hammer,
Yeah.
she hears that and turns around immediately and just unloads.
Yeah. Yeah, this was great.
real quick, I just wanted to say, I misspoke on the Model 13. That was actually her gun. It was a Colt Python, and it's loaded with 38 wad cutters.
Okay, cool.
So manliness, 100% right. I misspoke on the Model 13. That's Starling's gun.
Yeah.
All right.
But that's definitely hand cannon. And
BFG 9000.
It could be much worse. It could be the 375 Wildy, 0.3 or 0.475 Wildy, I should say. That is actually a gun that they use to take down elephants. So we're back to elephants again.
Back to elephants.
There you go, manliness. There you go.
There's plenty there.
You got your elephants.
Yeah. As she was unloading, she also, like, one of the bullets goes past him because his body hits the floor. And one breaks through a window, so the light came in, and you see him on the floor. He still has his goggles on. He's like coughing up blood, and his hands almost like they're already in rigor mortis pose.
Yeah.
She kicks the gun away.
Yeah.
And that punk is gone.
Yep. He finally expires.
Yep.
And then we see all the emergency units on scene and everything. And we see Catherine come out, and she's holding Precious and Clarice. Everybody makes it out alive. And then next we see Clarice graduates the academy. She's now officially Agent Starling. So congratulations. And they're throwing an after party, and Jack congratulates her. And she ends up getting a phone call. So she gets on the phone, and who is it? None other than Hannibal, calling from some nice tropical location. And he says, so this is what he says. Well, Clarice, have the lamb stopped screaming? And she's asking where he is, and he says, don't bother putting a trace. I won't be on long enough. And he says, I have no plans on calling you. The world is a far more interesting place with you in it. And he says, please extend me the same courtesy. And she says, I can't promise that. And he says, I'd love to stay and chat, but I'm having an old friend for dinner. And we see he's looking at a little jet, like a little charter plane type thing,
like a private plane. And who's coming down the stairs?
None other than our good friend Chilton. And
so, he hangs up on Clarice, and it's just that famous thing, Dr. Lecter.
Dr. Lecter. Yeah, and she says it like 6 times.
Yeah, she just keeps repeating it as the camera's panning away from her, and then we got a view of Chilton with someone who's kind of escorting him too, and Chilton's paranoid. He's looking over his shoulder in every direction as he's walking through a crowd of people that looks like in like Havana or the Bahamas or something.
Yeah,
going to like this little town, and you see Hannibal with his hat on and his very tropical clothes, his white suit.
And he's wearing a wig.
He's wearing a wig, and he's walking nice and slow, maybe 20 feet behind them. And the camera pans back, and we see as the credits are rolling, he is just walking with them, basically following Chilton. It is a fantastic ending.
I think you're placing too much emphasis on the end of that scene right there. We should be talking about, once again, the star of the show, Precious.
We're going to, Tommy, I promise.
Wound up getting a brand new home, Vinny.
Yeah, definitely. Precious is not going unnoticed here. So I totally agree, Tommy, that Precious helped save Catherine's life.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Because it was a brilliant plan. So Catherine was smart too,
Yeah.
luring Precious down to her and causing Buffalo Bill to absolutely freak out.
Yeah.
But yeah, like awesome. Like it was awesome. And then yeah, as she's walking out, like you can tell, like the way she's cradling Precious, because she does say that I think Precious broke her leg on the way down,
Mhm.
and it looks like she's gonna care for that dog, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Because that's the one thing she was holding on to. That's the only thing she had there until Clarice came. So it kind of makes sense, you know. It was
Well,
like her
in moments
security
of
blanket.
extreme stress like that, some people will make serious connections with something, whether it be
Yeah.
an
mhm,
inanimate object or an animate object, and
mhm.
something that is actually fully alive. There will be connections made in those moments of stress.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Country Shape Media says legend tells that Precious is still in therapy.
Yeah. God knows what that dog saw.
That dog was talking about the tucking. Oh my God, the tucking. He would not stop tucking. It was disgusting over and over again.
You gotta admit though, like the weird thing is though, as screwed up as Buffalo Bill was, he was very good to Precious. He treated her like royalty.
Well, yeah. I mean, he cared for that thing more than any human.
Yeah. And some people would say that some animals are worth that.
I think that dog was petrified of him. That's why that dog jumped down the well just to get away from his crazy tucking ass.
Possibly.
Yeah, because we never see the dog go down. It just happens to be in her arms. It probably said, "You know what? I'm screwed. I'm sick of this freak." Yeah, fat girl in the well. Here I come.
DJ Ronnie G says, "Greetings, Trina and friends. Hello, nice to see you.
Hello.
Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it."
He smells
Um,
of turtles and fine wine.
Yeah, we literally just wrapped up the review of Silence of the Lambs. What a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, anybody watching on the replay who hasn't seen this, please go see this and then tell us what you think of the review,
Yeah.
because this was a blast.
Yeah. Come back here and leave comments in the
Yeah.
in the comment section for sure. Because yeah, we'd love to hear. Again, one of those movies. If you haven't seen it, you should put it on your list.
Mhm.
It's definitely one of those to watch. You know, you
Yeah.
don't want to miss out. It's almost like the Equalizer movies. It's like that's something everyone should be watching at some point.
Oh, why this movie is absolutely fun to talk about, and it does have a lot of memorable scenes. This thing pales in comparison in this humble Cannibal Pigs ideas and thoughts as far as the next movie in this series. I'm sorry, I find the next one to be way more compelling than this because we get a lot more of Hannibal Lecter.
I'm
That's
really
big on it.
There is a lot more.
I'm really surprised to hear that. Like I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that.
Yeah, I know because I know Hannibal's had mixed reactions. I personally liked it. I haven't seen it in a while, but
Mhm.
yeah, looking forward to diving into it.
Yes.
I thought I had mentioned it before to you, Trina, when I was psychoanalyzing you about your absolute love about all these horror movies. I thought I might have mentioned it, but perhaps it slipped my mind because you did not give me enough back. Tell me, Trina, are those thoughts still silent?
No, I can't stop thinking about it.
About what?
I am obsessed with the Hannibal Lecter universe. Like
Yeah.
I am definitely I wish I had read the books before we did all this, really.
Mm.
But yeah, after
I think that cheapens the experience for somebody who's trying to get into it the very first time. I think you're doing it the right way, because a lot of times, here's what happens: when you read the books first, you wind up over analyzing everything that's in the movie, and you can't
Mhm.
quite enjoy it as much as you probably would have if you would have
Right.
just seen the movie first. Now go back and read the books afterwards. Then you can analyze the film for how close it came to the book and decide what you like about it and what you don't like about it. There are certain movies that I have watched myself. I've watched them and I didn't like them first time through. Many people still question this pig on how he could not like The Lord of the Rings. I just don't like it. And when I read the books, I liked it even less because it does not follow the books really hardly at all. And same thing with The Hobbit. I love the old animated cartoon, but after reading the Hobbit book and seeing how much of it is screwed up between that and the movie, it has kind of cheapened both of them for me. So watching the movies first and enjoying them for what they were, then go read the books. Then you may find there's certain elements of some of these movies you might not like as much, but would you have gotten to the books if you didn't watch the movies first?
Mm,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good
That's
point.
a bit of a yeah, it's a bit of a paradox or something. It's like, yeah,
Yeah,
would we have? That's yeah, that is a fair point. I'll say
yeah.
one thing that with the Dexter series, the only thing, the first book is very close with the show, and vice versa, aside from a few changes. But everything from that point on is completely different. The books go in a totally different direction than the series. And from what I had up to, I guess, four. Wait, hold on. I'm trying to think. It's Dearly Devoted. No, Darkly Dreaming, Dearly Devoted, Dexter in the Dark, Dexter by Design. Yeah, so it's four. There's four that I went through. There's 8 in total, but yeah, from the first 4, yeah, 2, 3, and 4 are totally different. Although the show does take certain elements, they do put a certain spin on it. Because when we get to season 3, for Dexter, I could point out some similar stuff that they did in that season that was in the second book. Not totally, but just some elements. But it is very interesting and really cool. That's why I really appreciate that show, because the writers did such a great job, and the writer of the novels, again, he was even watching them in tandem, and he was just as excited as everyone else when the new episodes were dropping. So it is very interesting to see kind of the different views and the different kind of alternate universes, so to speak.
Mm.
But
Mhm.
yeah, very, very cool.
And Manliness, I have heard that he says the Dresden Files show is vastly different from the books. I I've heard that, and I loved that show. Like I think it was just one. Was it just one season? I remember I really
I'm not
liked
familiar
it.
with it. Who was in it?
Oh man, he was on one of those DC shows.
What's the Dresden Files about?
He's a wizard. His name is
Okay.
Harry Dresden.
Hmm.
What is that guy's name? Paul Blackthorne played Harry. Oh, Paul, yeah, and he was in what was
Arrow,
Arrow? I think it was it Arrow?
the cop. He was the cop.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Black Canary's father.
Yep.
Yeah, I know of the actor, but yeah, I've never seen the show.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
I loved that, man. That goes way back, but yeah, and a friend of mine, she had read the books, and she also liked the show. So I wonder if it's one of those things where first season follows the book and then it goes haywire after that.
Okay.
Because that does happen a lot. Like that happened in Game of Thrones. First
Yeah.
season was fantastic.
Yep.
According to as far as how it follows the books.
Okay. Well, how close?
And then
it
it gets progressively less.
right.
Like,
I'm still furious they left out the whole Lady Stoneheart stuff.
well, the actress that played Caitlin Stark didn't want to do that role.
Oh, I thought she had another TV series that she was doing at the time.
Well, she did, but she the main reason was she
She didn't want to do the
role.
prosthetics and everything.
Yeah. Well, I don't.
Okay.
Maybe she just didn't want the role.
Right.
Country Shake Media. Did you know this movie had a spin-off show? Yeah, Clarice, and I haven't seen it. Yeah,
Me neither. I didn't hear anything good about it. I think they
that's
were
a
trying.
bummer.
Yeah.
I don't know how they can mess that up because they had Hannibal, which was so good.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about how good it is next week.
Yeah.
Well, the movie. But yeah, the TV series was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just one or two bumps near the end, but other than that, yeah, that show was so freaking good.
Yep. It was a spin-off of the books, not the movie. Okay. Gotcha. All right. Well, absolutely thoroughly enjoyed watching this movie. I watched it, I think, like 5 times in the last 3 days. I'm not even kidding.
Nice.
And I absolutely love doing this review with you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. And yeah, this was a lot of fun. And before we close out, well, just to let everybody know, next week, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, we'll be reviewing Hannibal, the movie.
Mm-hmm.
The three of us again. So that will be fun. But before we close out, and you guys let them know what you're doing. Vinny, go ahead. You first.
Yeah, we're going to be doing the toy stream tomorrow, actually, on my channel, Tommy's channel, over on my X as well. So check all that great stuff out. Friday, we're going to be talking about some more stuff. I'm probably going to break down the Diamond situation, Diamond Distributors, and Diamond Select. I'll get it more in depth on Friday. Because yeah, it affects the industry in a massive way. A lot of people don't know fully, so we'll break into that, and some other crazy stuff that happened, including Trump ripping into the African president and embarrassing him on live television today, which was amazing. Calling out the bullshit of the media, all their lies, and yeah, he showed video evidence. So there you go. We're gonna be breaking that down on Friday. And then Sunday, yeah, we're going to be finishing off the last 2 episodes of Dexter season 2. So don't you want to know what happens to Dokes? Tune in. You're going to find out. Last we saw him, he was in a cage. And Dexter is right there framing him, sort of. But there's more that's going to be going into that. Yeah, those last 2 episodes are so freaking good. And then, so don't forget, pick up my books. I am literally working on the last handful of pages, doing layouts, detailed drawings. I got some other freelance work in the mix as well. So, more info coming at you soon. And Friday, we're also gonna. No, he's gonna do that after my show. But we're gonna have Chris Fisk on. We're gonna be pushing his book. So, same day that Friday. We're gonna be. His book's gonna go live. So get ready for that. Infinitale Chronicles, Chapter 2. So everybody, thank you so much, Trina, Tommy, everyone in chat. You guys and girls are awesome.
So, real quick before Tommy closes out, Country Shape Media has a question. So he asks, wasn't it this movie where Hannibal Lecter did his iconic mouth thing? Yeah. I mentioned that. So that happens at the beginning of the first meeting between Hannibal and Clarice, and where he gets upset with her and says a census taker tried to how does he put it? Can't remember how he puts it, but he says, and I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti. And that was happened during the first meeting between him and Clarice.
Yeah. To frighten her and to mock her all in the same breath. Yep.
Absolutely. And Ancient One, tell him Real Horror sent you, Trina from Real Horror to send you, and have an awesome time. And now, Tommy, go ahead and let them know what you got going on.
Well, to let you know what I have going on could put me at a disadvantage, because then people might be looking for this pig. So instead, I'll tell you what may be coming up. So there may be a possible extra stream next week because there may be some birthdays involved. But I cannot divulge too much of that information. We're just giving you a little bit of possibilities right there. But of course, tomorrow will be the toy stream. We're going to be having a lot of fun. And it's something that you suggested, Trina, in your absolute enthrallment with stuff of toy history. You told me that I should dig into that rabbit hole of Matchbox. And so it has been done. And so tomorrow will be Matchbox crazy over on Collectible Past. I hope you all have some nice wine to be able to join us and have some fun tomorrow.
Nice. Awesome. Love it. Love it. Love it. And yeah, looking forward to the toy stream that Tommy's mentioning is Collectible Past, and that is on Tommy's channel, Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective, here on YouTube. Both Vinny's and Tommy's links to their channels are in the description. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and join us for the toy streams. There's always a ton of fun.
Yep.
Other than that, thank you guys in the chat for joining us and contributing to the conversation. It really, really adds a lot to the streams. And I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. And everyone on the replay, thank you as well. Everybody, hope you have a great week, great night, great week. And we will see you same time next Wednesday. Have a good one.